Hello, class, and welcome back to EPSY 255. This week we are discussing Chapter 4, which deals heavily on the physical development of infants and children and also their health. As we talked about in the last chapter, babies are growing fetuses and the embryos are growing rapidly during the prenatal development. But not only do they grow rapidly during prenatal development, after they are born, babies are also developing rapidly during infancy. And so what we're going to do is really look at the physical development and focus on the biology of children. As you all can see in this picture here in this chart, is that when children are starting at the fetal age, meaning starting in the womb, and as they get older, when they are in early infancy and in prenatal development, the head is the largest portion of the body. And then as the child gets older, then their body starts to lengthen and their trunk becomes the largest portion of their body. But originally at the beginning, when they are in the mom's womb and when they are born, the body is not as large as the head. The head takes up a huge portion of the body. And so obviously when children come out of the womb and they are babies, they grow. And so there are two types of patterns of growth that we're going to talk about. The first is the cephalocaudal. And if you look at the picture here, cephalocaudal means that the growth is occurring from head to toes. From head to toes. So you think about the weight, being able to have control over your extremities. So if it's starting from the head down, it would go from the head, then to the arms, down to the stomach, and then down to the legs and the feet. On the other hand, there's another pattern of growth called the proximodistal pattern. And this is, according to the book and according to this picture here, this image, the growth starts at the center of the body, which would be the trunk, which would be the stomach, the chest, and then the growth goes to the extremities. So it starts from the center, and then it will go down to the legs and go out to the arms. But compared to cephalocaudal, that is saying that growth starts from head to toe. So it's very important that you know the difference for that between the two patterns of growth for your quiz, for your second quiz. Body growth during infancy. During the first 2 years, growth is happening rapidly, not only with weight, but also with length. Children are getting taller or they're lengthening. So by the end of the first year, infants' length is usually 50% greater than it was when it was at birth. And by 2 years of age, the infant's length is about 75% greater than what it was when the child was born. Similar to length is weight. Weight is occurring rapidly during the infancy stage. And it says that weight triples during the first year compared to when the child was first born. And by the second year, compared to when the child was first born, the weight quadruples. So it's really important to understand how the main purpose of this slide is just to get you to understand like how fast not only children change their size as far as their weight, but also their length. They're getting taller during the first and second year. During early childhood, we see some similarities between boys and girls, but there are also some differences between boys and girls as far as body growth. When we are talking about the similarities between boys and girls, their trunks lengthen. So again, originally when they were infants, their head was the largest thing on their body. And now during early childhood, their trunks are lengthening to catch up to the size of their head. And also body fat decreases, it declines, which means that boys and girls slim down during early childhood. So that, compared to when they were infants, they may have been a little pudgier, but now their bodies are starting to slim down because the body fat is decreasing in their bodies. There's also a difference between boys and girls during early childhood. And also, pretty much this is the same throughout the child's life as well, as they get to be adults as well. For boys have more muscle tissue. Boys have more muscle tissue compared to girls, and girls have more fat tissue compared to boys. So girls have more fat tissue, and boys have more muscle tissue. Moving into middle and late childhood growth. During this time, there is slow but consistent growth. During middle and late childhood, this is kind of the calm before the storm, before adolescence and puberty hit. Again, there's a continued change in proportion, meaning that the percentage of body fat continues to decrease in boys and in girls, and the waist gets bigger, the leg length also decreases in proportion to height. So what we're really trying to focus on is that trunk lengthening. And not only does the baby fat decrease, but both boys and girls have an increase in muscle mass and also in strength. So think of this middle and late childhood period very slow and consistent because it's the calm before the storm, and the calm before the storm would be puberty. Speaking of puberty, next we're going to talk about adolescence. And during puberty, we all have been through puberty. Those are just rapid changes in not only our hormones, but also our body. And it's important to know where the timing of puberty comes from, like what dictates the timing of puberty. And this is important. It's also going to be on your quiz. The timing of puberty is programmed into the genes of each human. So when you were born, your genes automatically knew when they were going to turn puberty on. It was already programmed into your genes from when you were born. And then when, they finally got the green light of when they were going to, those genes were going to turn on puberty, then that's when they turn on puberty. So that's why you see that it's different timings for everyone. When we talk about puberty, it's about this age, about 11 to age 16, depending on if you're talking about boys or girls. But even there's some variety in between boys and girls because it really depends on your genes and how your genes are programmed to turn puberty on when it is time. Okay, I'm going to see you all on the next video where we're going to talk about brain development. Ciao.